Three candidates will run in next month's presidential election following the close of nominations today. Barrister Maria Steen narrowly missed out on a place on the ballot with just 2 votes short of the 20 Oireachtas nominations required. The race for the Áras is between independent Connolly, Fine Gael's Heather Humphreys and Fianna Fáil's Gavin. It's the narrowest choice for voters in such a poll in 35 years.
It's now officially game on for the 3 presidential election candidates, the lowest number since 1990. While the field is narrow, the candidates insist that there is a wide range of topics actively engaging the electorate.
This election matters to the people of Ireland, and it really matters to them who is going in and fulfilling that role of president of this beautiful country.
No bother.
Heather Humphreys was also campaigning in Dublin city centre today, pitching for first preferences and, it seems, second preferences from Fianna Fáil voters.
Look, we're both parties in government at the minute, and I think there are certain commonalities there, there's no doubt about it.
The Fianna Fáil candidate was in Navan, where he was keen to keep the focus on his own campaign.
I'm just looking forward to getting out to the constituencies. I've visited 11 already, and I've got more to do, but it's been a really positive campaign. I'm looking forward to meeting people.
For Maria Steen, today marked the end of the road for her efforts to get on the ballot paper. Her parting words took aim at those who did not back her nomination.
The response from the public in recent days confirms the hunger that there is for an alternative candidate. Rarely has the political consensus seemed more oppressive or detached from the wishes and desires of the public.
Unsurprisingly, those in this race are brimming with positivity on the first day of the campaign. But the presidential election often casts a searing spotlight on candidates, and that is likely to be intensified this time around, given that only 3 people are in line to become the state's first citizen on October 24th. Micheál Lahan, RTE News, Leinster House.
Well, let's get more analysis on this now from our political correspondent Paul Cunningham, who's at Leinster House. Paul, the race is underway. The field is smaller than it has been in recent presidential campaigns. So what kind of a campaign do you think it's shaping up to be?
Well, politics is a brutal business, and you see that in spades when it comes to elections. For the past 48 hours, we've been talking about whether or not the independent Maria Steen was going to be on the ballot paper. By 12 o'clock, the deadline for nominations closed. She isn't on it, and politics marches on. For the next 30 days, we've got 3 candidates who are going to be visiting every county in the country. It's going to be a gruelling time, as they both are on the stump, or they're going to be in various regional, national, local radio stations, trying to spread out their vision and also explain something about who they are at the same time. Big TV debates are obviously big moments. They're going to start on Virgin Media next week. There's going to be several on RTE, culminating in a primetime debate towards the end of the campaign. Make a slip there and it could have a big impact on your campaign. I think from the candidates' point of view, they've got twin challenges. One is to motivate their base, make sure they get people to come out and vote, make sure they get canvassers to come out and knock on doors, but at the same time they have to reach beyond that, to that middle ground and try and convince voters who usually vote with other parties to back them instead. That's the challenge. 30 days of campaigning, and it's going to be gruelling.
Paul Cunningham from Leinster House, thank you.
So the ballot paper which voters will fill out on October 24th has now been clarified. 3 candidates have been validly nominated and will now battle it out to see who will succeed Michael D. Higgins in Áras and Uachtaráin.
Gavin's serial GAA success means he is no stranger to winning tough battles. But the political world is a very different beast, meaning he will have to develop new solo skills if he is to keep control of the ball in the weeks ahead. The 54-year-old first won the All-Ireland as a player in 1995, before leading Dublin to an unprecedented 6 titles in 7 years as manager between 2012 and 2019. He subsequently chaired the GAA Points Review Committee, as well as both the Citizens' Assembly on a directly elected mayor for Dublin and the North Inner City Task Force. Gavin previously worked in the Air Corps before taking up a role in the Irish Aviation Authority. Political campaigns, though, are ground war affairs, meaning there is no room for error over the coming weeks.
Heather Humphreys is from Drum, County Monaghan. She was first elected to the Dáil in 2011 and elevated to Cabinet 3 years later as Minister for Arts. She hit the headlines with a botched appointment to the board of IMA. A Presbyterian from a border county, she was given the sensitive role of presiding over the state's commemorations, including the centenary of the Easter Rising. She later became Minister for Social Protection, in charge of the state's highest spending department. Last year, she became the deputy leader of Fine Gael. But just ahead of the general election, she bowed out of politics, saying there was nothing left in the tank. An upset for Fine Gael meant she has returned as the party's presidential candidate.
Catherine Connolly began her political career in 1999 when she was elected as a Labour councillor in Galway City. She left the party in 2006 when they decided not to run a second Dáil candidate alongside Michael D. Higgins, but was eventually elected as an independent TD for Galway West in 2016. Deputy Connolly sat on the Public Accounts Committee and was chair of the Committee on the Irish Language, Gaeltacht and the Islands. In 2020, she became the first woman ever elected as Lasceann Comhairle. Deputy Connolly has repeatedly defended her trip to Syria in 2018 as a fact-finding mission, but said meeting a supporter of former Syrian President Bashar al-Assad was certainly a mistake. A staunch supporter of Palestine, Miss Connolly said she would visit Palestine if elected as president.
Well, I'm joined now by Dr. Kevin Cunningham, pollster and lecturer in politics at TU Dublin. Kevin, let's talk a little bit about these candidates and who they will appeal to. So let's start with Catherine Connolly. She's an independent TD. She has the backing of parties on the left. Who's likely to vote for her?
Catherine Connolly has a lot of support amongst young people, particularly young women, and that does overlap with her interest in Gaza, and in particular, those that believe that issue is very important do also support her. The key for Catherine Connolly is being able to win over all those that support the parties that are backing her. So collectively, those parties add up to around 36% to 37% of the vote. And if she actually got all of their support, she would be very much in the lead. Now, her challenge would be, therefore, trying to get not just into the lead, but also trying to win enough transfers and second preferences to get to the 50% marker that actually is all important in this contest.
OK, so then we move on to the Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael candidates. So Jim Gavin, former Dublin football manager, hero to many people. And he's the Fianna Fáil candidate, but who is he likely to appeal to most?
Yeah, Jim Gavin's doing very, very well. I mean, he is a celebrity candidate, and we've seen so far celebrity candidates haven't been that popular. He has managed to capture a very large chunk of the Fianna Fáil vote, plus a lot of people in Dublin, which is interesting. I mean, on face value, Fianna Fáil plus Dublin, where Fianna Fáil don't do normally well, should be enough for him to be in the lead. But Jim Gavin also has a demographic issue. He has a lot of support amongst middle-aged men in particular, and a lot weaker amongst the female demographic in particular. So he needs a lot to do outside of Dublin and obviously outside of GAA followers. OK, and last but not least, Heather Humphreys. She's a former Fine Gael minister. She's come back from retirement to run in this election campaign, but lots of people wouldn't know her. So who are likely to vote for her? Yeah, Heather Humphreys is doing very, very well amongst the oldest voters. I mean, the flip side of Fianna Fáil selecting Jim Gavin means that it's opened a number of kind of Fianna Fáil voters to kind of look around a little bit more. And the reason why she's in the lead on the basis of the last two polls is partly because she's got a very solid Fine Gael vote, but is taking enough of that Fianna Fáil vote to get into the lead a little bit. But there's a lot really to play for between all these. Maria Steen said today that there was a huge hunger for an alternative candidate, and that's now going to go unsatisfied. Was there room for another candidate in this race, either on the left or the right? Yeah, I think there probably was. If you're to look at the polls again, you would look at and you would find that about 4 out of 10 people say that they're undecided. I mean, that's an enormous amount. It's reminiscent of the recent referendums where enormous numbers of undecideds changed the contest at a very late stage. Before Maria Steen's potential vote, that is, people who we would assume to be to the right of the political spectrum, there's a lot of those undecideds who tend to be more right-wing. So of those I would identify as being on the right, 6 out of 10 are undecided. So that's a much larger section of those. And we know that undecideds are also twice as likely to mention immigration as an issue. So there is a vote out there that remains undecided, but might not vote at all, in fact. And is geography likely to play a role here? Because Munster is the only province that doesn't have a candidate. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So half of those who are undecided in our latest poll with the Sunday Independent indicated that they were undecided. Indicated they were from Munster, sorry. And that's obviously the geographical component. Irish politics is obviously about parties and values, but just as much it is about geography, locality and the types of candidates that people see to represent them from their own area.
All right, Kevin Cunningham, we're out of time, but it's going to be a very interesting few weeks ahead. Thanks so much for coming in to speak to us on 6-1.
Thank you.